Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Today, we will be continuing on with the My Thoughts series, and joining me to break down the Minnesota Vikings is Stephen Chalmers. Stephen, thank you for joining me. Pleasure to have you.
Pleasure is all mine. Man, it's an honor to come back. Also, I love the Breaking Bad music.
Until I get sued, I love it too.
Yeah, Stephen Chalmers here. You can find me on my Twitter down here at FF Chalmers, one half of the Delaware Dynasty Football podcast. My co-host Ryan Odell, and you can find me on my RPO. I'm affiliated with RPO as well. Do their rankings over there for rookie superflex and the offensive rankings. So check out my work and critique me as much as you want to.
I'm not going to lie. I'm very much happy to be done with rookie season. We've
Me
got a bunch of dynasty startup drafts, and it's nice to shift and actually look at full rosters. I'm not going to lie. I've got today alone, I'm in 6 of the FC Eliminator divisions. I joined 6 of them, and I was bored with it. So not bored with it, but I was trying to keep it entertaining. So I decided that in the 6 divisions, I don't want to draft the same player twice. So I go quarterback in all of them. And in all of them, they're 18-team leagues. I've drafted between 13 and 18. So finding different quarterbacks that I don't already have is proving to be a chore. So
Yeah, how's that going for you? That sounds like a really tough task.
I started with Tua and Dak. Then the second league, I got Russ and Daniel Jones. Then I've only got to make my picks in 4 out of the 6 for the first 2 rounds. And so far I have 8 quarterbacks and none of them are the same, which is weird. But I think I have my first share of Anthony Richardson. I don't remember who the other ones are, but I have 8 different quarterbacks somehow in the end there. But it's been nice.
That's a tough task, man. Congrats to you.
Yeah, at one point I was like, shit, there's not really anyone left here. I'm like, maybe I'll just start with my first, Jonathan Taylor was still on the board. I was like, maybe I'll go Taylor. And then I looked and I said, screw it. I think I'm going to take my first Richardson share. And that's what I did. So, all right, enough about my FC Eliminator teams. Let's get into it here with the Minnesota Vikings. If I could get the graphic on screen, it's late at night here and running out of steam. Nothing to see here in the quarterback room. We have Kirk Cousins, who is at best, a low-end QB1, more likely a high-end QB2, and newly drafted backup Jaren Hall. Not sure if they're projecting him to be the long-term project here. Sorry, I was drawing a blank with Kirk Cousins as a starter. What are your thoughts on this QB room?
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, when it comes to Kirk Cousins, you know what you're going to get.
Cousins, I drafted him. That's how blah he is. He was one of the quarterbacks I drafted.
Right. But, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, when you're talking about safety and security, you know what you're going to get. You're going to have a couple weeks where it's an explosion week, but, I mean, you know what I mean? He's just as safe and reliable as it gets. You know you're going to get anywhere from QB9 to QB13, realistically, every year. He doesn't offer that upside to – even though he was QB6 last year, he doesn't offer that upside to the top 3 QB position. But I like Kirk Cousins. He's safe and reliable. It's a blob pick, like you said, but you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I had a lot of them last year, and he was kind of disappointing, especially like Scott Fishbowl. I stacked him and Brady, and they both kind of had down years. But, yeah, he's pretty blah. Like I said, Jaren Hall, I didn't really care for him all that much in the pre-draft process. I don't really think he's a long-term option here, but I think they're going to roll with Kirk Cousins for one more shot. I would say last year I was really, really high on him. I think I had him as my QB5. This year, I think I have him more like QB12. I think his ceiling's probably, he'd be lucky if he got to QB8, but I think he's realistically in the 10 to 15 range. Safe, steady, probably won't go above 10, shouldn't go below 15 unless he's hurt. Like I said, so safe and boring that I forgot that I drafted him an hour ago. So
I think I have my QB 10 going into the year. Um, a lot of the back end QBs have a lot of question marks. Your
yeah,
Russes, how's he going to bounce back? Your Staffords, what does he look like after his neck injury? No more Brady. Just some of those QBs that were at the mid end of as the QB ones. Like, what are some question marks? Um, I think Kirk is the safest out of the people that we talked about.
yeah.
Although I am curious to see Russ when he bounces back with Sean Payton and how that plays out. But
If
yeah,
you say Russ, I have Russ too.
yeah. So I have Kirk coming as my QB 10 for the year.
I tell you, I'm going to sign up for another one of these FC eliminators just because I'm due for a high pick. Like, anyways,
13
I'm.
through
You
18.
could tell I've done too many of these drafts because it's all that's on my mind. Like another month from now, all you'll hear is Scott Fishbowl over and over again. But all right,
Yeah.
let's move on to an interesting running back room here. We have Dalvin Cook, who any day now I suspect will be shipped out of town once
Same.
he's healthy enough to pass the physical on his shoulder. Traded, released, whatever. He's going to be gone, I suspect. And then we have a backup room full of guys that I'm stashing everywhere. Madison seems to be by far the most expensive because he's been rumored to be usurping him as the starter for several years now, and it looks like it's finally his chance. I had Kene Wongwu stashed in a couple of taxi squads in hopes that maybe he would be the backup and get some more run here. But I've kind of softened on him a bit, and I've taken a ton of late stabs on Dwayne McBride here. I think the talent and speed is awesome, and I think he could very well take the job from Madison if Cook leaves, or at very least, he could be very usable. Like I said, McBride, I don't have a lot of third round picks in any of my rookie drafts. I had a ton of firsts, a ton of seconds, and then fourth or fifths. I seem to have my thirds, I either traded back or traded up, but I had a couple of leagues, including my main work dynasty league, where I specifically traded in back into the third round after making all my picks just to take a shot on him. So I like McBride, but it's definitely an interesting running back room here. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah. Like you said, it's more almost 100% guaranteed that Dalvin Cook will no longer be a Minnesota Viking.
Where would you
Um,
like to see him land?
Miami is my number one preferred
Oh
landing
my
spot.
God, there would be so many running backs that would be ruined. Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, oh my God, all those Devon A Chain people who just took A Chain at 111 and 112.
Yep.
Do you hate them? Do you hate those people who drafted at the end of the first round? Is that what it is? You just want to give them a nice big fuck
Yep.
you and send Dalvin Cook there?
That's exactly what I want to do.
Your mortal enemy drafted in 112 or 111 in your league and has A
Yep.
Chain, doesn't he? Yep.
Yep. See, I was never on the A Shane train, to be
I'm
honest with
not
you.
either.
So everybody that's preaching this 111, 112, maybe 2-1, 2-2 pick, you know what? It can be ruined within a matter of an hour.
Yeah.
You just never know. And
Well, yeah, I agree.
you know what I mean? And that's why that's my preferred landing spot. They went and bought a lot of free agents. Why not bring in Dalvin Cook? You've been talking about wanting to add a surefire running back. Here he is. Here
I
he is.
agree. I agree. I had a lot of a 111, 112, and in all the cases where I had those, A Chain was still on the board, and I never once selected him. I think I got Will Levis once, and in the other three or four instances, I traded down to take someone like Kendra Miller or Jonathan Mingo and get an additional asset. I think I even took a Jaden Reed. I did not pull the trigger on A Chain once, which is interesting because I was really high on him with the speed. I wrote a couple of rookie profiles for different sites, and I liked him. He's too damn small. I'm just not doing it. He was a guy I was looking at when his ADP was early third, late second, late first. No, thank you. I
No,
will
thank
pass.
you. Right.
Yeah. So
Give me Kendra. Give me Kendra 100 out of 100. No question
yeah.
about it.
Well, that's what I said. So at 111, I was on the clock at 111, and he was on the board, and I said, you know what? Screw it. I like Kenjay Miller more than A Chain. So why not trade back? I think I ended up trading back to the 206, got Miller, and got an additional third rounder next
That's
year, I think.
crazy.
So I just said, screw it. I got the running back I wanted, and I got an additional pick next year. So fuck it. That's what I
206.
did.
That's crazy value on Kendra, in my opinion.
I've seen him fall later than that. I had one where he went 211 or something, and I tried to trade back in to get him, and I just couldn't get back in. And he fell to someone where the guy messaged me as a friend and said, "Hey, who should I take here?" And I said, screw it. I can't trade back in. Take Kendra Miller. So
We just did my longest running dynasty league. We just had our in-person draft, and I think
those are
Kendre,
the best.
yeah, it ended up going 2-2. And it was to me, because A Shane went 2-1, and I was like, but you can have it.
No thanks. No thanks. I will pass. It's who else was it? I can't for the life of me remember who else. Was it a wide receiver? There was a wide receiver who really got bumped up in that range, and for the life of me, I can't remember who, and I avoided him. But anyways, we've digressed. This is not rookie draft talk. I don't know how I got on this.
But yeah,
Going to the wide receiver room here, we've got the stud Justin Jefferson. We have the guy I have ranked as the top rookie wide receiver for redraft this year, Jordan Addison. I think he's going to be awesome. There's going to be tons of targets for him in a pass-heavy offense without Adam Thielen. We have KJ Osborne, who everyone was high on but cooled off when Jordan Addison was drafted. We have Jalen Reagor, who is always connected to Justin Jefferson because the Eagles passed on Justin Jefferson to draft him, and now they're in the same room, and Justin Jefferson can laugh at him in person every day. He's useless, as is Brandon Powell, and any chance Jalen Naylor had of becoming a thing probably went out the window. What do you think of this group here? More specifically, the top three, I would say.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This offense intrigues me just from the rip. If you notice, they were a team that allowed more points than they scored last year.
Yeah.
Negative game scripts, especially for Kirk Cousins, 643 pass attempts last year, bodes well for all these wide receivers. Uh, Obviously, we don't have to spend a lot of time on Jefferson. He's generational talent. He's going to get his. He's a top 5 wide receiver, locked in, doesn't matter. Now, when it comes to it, I personally think start of the year, I do think KJ Osborne starts the depth chart as wide receiver 2. I do think he's then overturned very quickly by Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
With that being said, I do think you have obviously Jefferson's going to put up 1,500 plus yards again, but I could see a path where Jordan Addison puts up 800 plus. I see a path where KJ Osborne repeats success last year that he had 650, maybe 700,
Really good
5
offense.
touchdowns. Yeah, they have a really good offense. They were top 7 in the league in points scored last year, and I don't see why we can't count them into being a top 8 team again. This is a very fun offense.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, like you said, it's a very fun offense. The only thing that worries me for whoever becomes the 3 in this, TJ Hawkinson is going to require targets. And I think at some point there might be not enough ball to go around, but we'll see how it goes. I don't feel like Madison and McBride are going to be targeted as much out of the backfield. So if Cook's gone, maybe the or the targets he would have had can be spread around to Osborne and Hawkinson. But I think you're right. I think this is going to be an exciting team. Green Bay could suck. They could be all right, but I think the Lions are a solid offense, and I think the Bears are up and coming, so they might have some shootouts here in the division.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, I've had no picks in the last 5 hours. We've been podcasting for 13 minutes, and I'm on the clock in 4 of the 6 FC divisions because, of course, I am. So maybe I'll get you to help me out here. Let's see. I already have Kirk Cousins. I'm coming up on the clock in the second round, and I'm going quarterback again.
Okay.
I will let you pick my quarterback. Oh, it's gross. Oh, figures. The best one on the board is Tua. So the options are Goff, Jimmy G, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Desmond Ritter, Howell, Stafford, Carr might be my option. Carr, Stroud, Rodgers, Pickett, and a bunch of garbage. Oh, Bryce Young. So do I go Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Derek Carr, Rodgers, Pickett? Who would you choose here?
And
Goff?
this is an eliminator?
Yeah, the eliminator. This will be my QB2 behind Kirk Cousins.
Give me Rodgers.
Oh, just a sec. Where's my bottle? I got a bottle here somewhere. I need some whiskey. Aaron Rodgers.
Give me Rodgers.
Oh.
I know it's hard to say. Give me Rodgers.
Oh, it's not hard to say. It's hard to push the draft button.
I know, but I'm very excited to see Rodgers this year in a New York uniform. Um,
Oh, well,
he
I just
really,
drafted Rodgers.
it really seems like he wants to be there. I love the offseason participation early. We haven't seen that from him in Green Bay in what, probably 12, 14 years. He he's one of the best to ever play the game.
Yeah,
Um,
well, my starting two now is Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers. That's the least sexy duo I've ever seen in fantasy football. I mean, it may prove to be productive, but God, is that gross. Oh, let's get the taste of that out of my mouth and move on to the tight end room, where we've got TJ Hawkinson and not much else. Let's forget Josh Oliver, but where do you think Hawkinson fits into this offense? I could see him being anywhere between the number 2 pass catcher and the number 4, 5, depending if Cook stays. What do you think? What do you think of TJ
um,
Hawkinson?
I have Hawk locked in as the number 2 pass catcher.
Hawklock?
Um, since the
Hawklock.
acquisition to Minnesota, he was averaging 8.6 targets per game. Um, Equals out, if he played a full 17, comes out to about 146 targets. Obviously, I know you add Addison, but Kirk Cousins has always had a love for his tight ends all the way back to his Washington days. With that also being said, you looked at his usage in the playoff game. He was a huge X factor in that playoff loss, even though it was a loss. Um, Hawkinson finished tight end 2 last year, and I have him locked in as a top 4 tight end option this year. And in Dynasty, the top 3, obviously Kittle or Pitts, Andrews, Kelsey. With the age difference, I'm not mad if somebody's taking Hawk over Kelsey long term. I'm a big TJ Hawkinson
That
fan,
was it's,
and I
it's I'm
think
glad you
he's
brought that up. I was gonna go completely self-serving, and I brought my cousin into my longest running work dynasty league. He's taking over an orphan of a guy who drafted a bunch of old players and then bombed. The team is probably aging. He needs to sell. Kelsey is who he needs to sell. The offer he had straight up was Kelsey for TJ Hawkinson. He was debating, do you like Kelsey for Hawkinson or Kelsey for Hawkinson in a second, Hawkinson in a first? What do you think the value is for Kelsey to Hawkinson on a
I
rebuilding
mean,
team?
I'm going to be honest with you on a rebuilding squad. I've been on that train where it's like, when do I sell Kelsey? He's 34 years old now. He's been the tight end 1 or tight end 2 for what, the last 8 years. It's such a tough sell. I get holding Kelsey, but if you're in a long term, if you're in a rebuild, let's say, and somebody offered me TJ Hawkinson in a second, I probably pull the trigger. I'm a big Hawkinson fan, and I'm a big believer in TJ. Um, I think the gap will close this year too. I think Hawkinson, throw it as my quote. Hawkinson is 1,000-yard tight end this year.
All right, so your end decision is Hawkinson straight up. I do believe he offered Hawkinson in a second, and I was up in the air because the guy who won it, or the guy who sent the offer, is the defending champion. So the pick next year, he's got a stacked team. So I'm operating under the assumption the second rounder is going to be almost the end of the second round, but you don't really care. You're straight up.
Oh,
So
you said the second. I'm taking the second just for the added icing on the cake for sure.
yeah, yeah,
But
but
I'm
you
just
do
a
it straight
big
up.
Hawkinson believer. I'm a
Yeah.
big Hawkinson
I
believer.
considered it too just because of the age, but yeah. All right, so that might be something to reevaluate. Okay, so based on the what you think the ADP is going to be on some of these guys, who's someone you're likely to target and who's someone you're likely to avoid on the Vikings?
Targeting Alexander Madison 100%. 100%. Um, ADP coming in, I want to say in this
It's getting
we're
up
talking,
there.
it's right where.
I know. I think it's starting to get up there. It's starting
Yeah,
to
it's
rise.
starting to
That's
change,
what.
but it was I did a I'm going off dynasty startups. I did
Yeah.
it was the ADP was 100 and 150s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me that all day long. Especially if you go 0 running back, that's your strategy. You'd like to build around pass catchers, and especially in your dynasty startups. Yeah, give me Madison as a guy that could be a running back 1,
Yeah.
taken in as like what, running back 45 off the board.
I
Yeah,
think
give me that all day.
that's who I'm targeting unless it rises too much. Then I might take my shot on McBride. Addison's at a healthy price point too. I don't mind, but yeah, Madison it is. Who are you going to avoid? I think my avoid is Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I'm avoiding. I mean, I can agree with that as well. With Dalvin Cook, like I said, especially in Dynasty, you're talking about the injuries. His injury history is long and extensive. How much at 27, going on 28 years old, does he have left in the tank? He proved to be effective last year. He averaged over 4.5 yards per carry. He, yards after contact was tops in the league, top 10 in the league. It still looks good. I just can't get past the missed games anymore. I'm tired of those nagging 4 or 5 game injuries. Last year it was the shoulder going into playoff time.
Every damn game it's a shoulder.
Yeah. And at 27 years old, going into 28, I think you've juiced the orange enough. I think you're at that point where, like, you just have to take what you can and get out. If you own him.
Sorry, go ahead.
If you own him, juice the orange, take what you can, get out. You've got what you got. And if you're trying to buy, you can buy. I mean, I don't know what his price is because I don't own any Dalvin Cook.
I'm not buying. Well, that's what I mean. There's him, Kamara, Zeke, Fournette, Cook. There's this whole group of that loaded draft class from 2017. They're all hitting the age cliff here. Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
You can bank on 3 of them falling right off the freaking cliff here this year. So if you're going to have any of them, I would try and sell all of them. If you get stuck with any of them, or, I mean, if you're a contender, you can't really get rid of them. You got to ride them and just hope that you get the one who doesn't fall off this year, but it's a risky proposition. So,
right, exactly.
All right, final question here. It's a 2-parter. Where do you see them finishing in the division? And they finished with 9 wins last year, over, under, or the same this year.
Division, I am going to go second.
To the Lions? That's what I have.
To Detroit.
Okay, and 9 wins, over, under, or the same.
Oh, man. I'm going to push 9 wins.
I think it's.
I'm going to push 9 wins.
I think it's 10, but I think the Lions win 10 or 11.
Yeah, I'm going to push 9.
So, okay.
Their defense is so bad. They're so bad.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, thanks for joining me. You want to take another chance here to tell everyone where they can find your work?
Yes, guys. One half of the Delaware Dynasty Boys Football Podcast. My Twitter handle is below. I also do rankings over at RPO Football, rookie superflex style rankings, and offensive rankings for all positions involved. Check it out. Also, the site has IDP. If you are looking for IDP information, they're the best over there. And thank you, man, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was nice to have you. You say, guys, when you talk, like, your first video was the first series I did probably a month ago. When you said, hey, guys, here's where you can find me, we were basically talking to ourselves because nobody watched those videos because I was just starting out. I think we got 1 or 2 views. The last views, every day I put up a video, they seem to get more and more views because we get more and more names. So we're starting to get onto something here. So there may actually be people who just heard what you had to say. You weren't just talking to me for the last 20 minutes. So.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. You're one of the best in the business. Keep doing your thing, man.
I appreciate it. I'm working like a dog. I'm exhausted. I think I've slept 3 hours all weekend, and I can't wait to wrap up this series so that I can write one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 12 different articles, and then work on my projections. Oh, there's another page of articles I have to. Holy shit! I've got a lot of work to do. It's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah. So, last note, guys, go buy TJ Hawkinson.
TJ Hawkinson. I just, as you were talking here, I had my phone out, was looking down, and messaged my cousin and said, go for a second, or no, I think he wants a first because the guy, he wants a 2024 first. So I said, go for the first. If he says no, take the second.
Yes, sir.
So
do not be everyone. The one to hold Kelsey on the cliff. Do not be that one.
Well, especially for a non-contending team. Like he's a team. It's an 8 out of the 12 make the playoffs. He was the last seed 2 years in a row. Why you don't want to get stuck holding the bag as a not really a realistic contender. So
exactly.
All right. This has been my thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings with Stephen Chalmers. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good night.